Muy buenas friqueros y friqueras, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estáis? Y bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo en este canal en el que vamos a reaccionar a este vídeo de WatchMojo de el top 20 juegos más odiados o peor valorados de Steam. No sé cómo es este top concretamente, la verdad nunca he visto cuáles son los juegos más o peor valorados de Steam, de la historia de la plataforma, así que sí que tengo algunos que sí que ubico, también por casos también recientes y demás, o que recuerdo un poquito más, pero tampoco sé lo que es o sea, no sé qué juegos componen ese top, y ya en este caso el top 20 ya ni os cuento. Así que vamos a reaccionar, a ver qué juegos hay en esa lista, y esto al final no es que sea un top de WatchMojo justamente, ¿no? Esto es un top más objetivo y una lista por Steam en este caso, ¿no? Obviamente cogiendo ahí la valoración de los usuarios, supongo, ¿no? Que tiene la plataforma, así que al final se refiere a lo que es los juegos más odiados por los usuarios, ¿no? De Steam. Así que venga, vamos allá con esta reacción, pero antes, como siempre, si queréis apoyar el contenido de este canal, dejad un buen like, suscribiros al canal en sí si no lo habéis hecho ya, activad la campanita de notificaciones para no perderos ningún vídeo, y en la descripción os dejaré, como siempre, mis redes sociales y los enlaces de los últimos vídeos que tengo subidos en el canal para que echéis un vistacillo a lo último que he estado subiendo. Muchas gracias por vuestro apoyo, como siempre, así que sin más dilación le damos en 3, 2, 1... Play. No.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the
NBA
lowest rated
2K.
and most widely criticized games.
Imagino cuál es, pero creo que sé cuál es.
What does it mean? It means without a doubt.
Number 20, The Day Before.
Número 20 ya, el The Day
by the
Before.
way,
Sabía que esta iba a estar en el top,
welcome to
pero
Woodbury.
pensaba que estaba más
This is the first time we've ever seen you here.
Few
Más
video
abajo, ¿no?
games
En el
are
top,
as truly
incluso.
disastrous as The Day Before.
Pero
Controversy
bueno,
followed this
para el hate que ha
apocalyptic
recibido el
shooter from
juego.
the very beginning. Whether it was widespread trademark disputes,
Sí,
reports of
pues
plagiarism,
fijaos,
allegations of being a
Fijaos
scam, or
el
fantastic
caso que ha
use
sido
of
este
unpaid
juego.
labor, it seemed like The Day Before
Pues
was
el resto,
destined for
tela,
failure.
también.
We just didn't know how bad it would be.
Pero bueno, esto es un... En fin. No lo he jugado, eso sí, pero...
Upon release, fans discovered that this
Me
was
he
not
documentado,
an MMO,
digamos.
but an extraction shooter, and a really, really bad one at that. Full of game-breaking technical issues, it received overwhelmingly negative
¿Estáis
reviews on
viendo
Steam
eso?
and was pulled from the market shortly after release. No question asked, refunds were issued to everyone who bought the game, and Fantastic went out of business. Talk about apocalyptic.
Madre mía.
Number 19, Mirror 2, Project X.
Mirror 2 Project X de 2022. No lo conozco.
Some games are hated for being technical disasters, some are hated due to poor marketing and misrepresentation, and some are hated for being inferior sequels to widely loved originals. That's a polite way of saying that Mirror 2 did not live up to expectations.
人がいる。
大丈夫。まだ知り合ったばかりだものね。
The first Mirror contained a lot of not safe for work content, and fans
Voy
were
a
expecting
poner
more of the same when it came to
subtítulos.
Mirror 2
Es verdad.
Project X.
Ahora.
But the game removed all 18
Claro,
plus
yo sé que
content,
estoy más o menos
resulting in
entendiéndolo,
mostly
pero
negative
bueno,
reviews on
por si
Steam.
acaso.
We'll let the top review speak for itself. They took an adult game, made a sequel that's better in every way, but then they removed all nudity? What's the point?
強情ね。それでも男なの？
Number 18, Kinetic Void.
Kinetic Void. Me suena un poquitín, pero
Gamers have been clamoring for a
tampoco
good
le tengo
space
muy ubicado.
simulator. Can you imagine the possibilities of constructing your own ship and then flying through the cosmos, exploring all the planets, asteroids, and stars that fill the void? Yeah, well, Kinetic Void certainly wasn't that game. It has overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam, with most complaining about the unfinished and generally broken nature of the game. Many people argue that it was abandoned by the developers, and what is there is mostly unplayable and needlessly
abandonado
complex.
por los
It's a tale
desarrolladores.
as old as time.
Joder.
A small team harbors big ambitions but doesn't have the money or the manpower to make them a reality.
entonces es más entendible que el juego saliera tan mal, ¿no?
Number
O
17,
sea,
The Graveyard.
el Graveyard. No me suena.
The description of The Graveyard speaks for itself. You walk around, sit on a bench, and listen to a song. It's more like an explorable painting than an actual game. If that sounds fun to you, then have at it. For many, walking around sitting on a bench and listening to a song does not make for a good gaming experience, even for the low price of $5. Some people have expressed their enjoyment of the game and praised the developer's artistic ambitions. Others hate its lack of gameplay. Steam user Storm has one of the top-rated reviews, writing, "Watch the video instead, that's the whole game." That about sums it up. Number 16, Uriel's
Peculiar,
Chasm.
la verdad. Uriel's Chasm.
A truly bizarre game, Uriel's Chasm is supposedly meant to be a commentary on religion, but we certainly wouldn't get that from playing the game. Not only does it make little sense, but it's also terribly designed from a physical standpoint, resulting in many headaches and rubbed eyes.
Uf.
What does that text say? We don't
Muy
know.
raro,
It's
¿no?
impossible to read thanks to the horrid neon color. Hopefully it wasn't important. Frankly, it's hard to describe this game, as its cheap and amateurish design defies explanation. But man, those Steam reviews sure are funny. Number 15, Roller Coaster Tycoon World.
Este dije que lo conozco un poco.
Back in 1999, Hasbro Interactive released Roller Coaster Tycoon, a simulation game in which players construct their own amusement parks. The original PC release received rave reviews and sold well, resulting in numerous sequels and spin-offs. Fast forward to November 2016, when Atari released the fourth installment, Roller Coaster Tycoon World. The game did a great disservice to the legacy of the series and received mostly negative reviews on Steam. Many criticized the game's lackluster performance and unintuitive gameplay. Whatever the criticism, it was widely agreed that Roller Coaster Tycoon World was the worst entry in the franchise.
A ver, si tenía muchos fallos.
Number 14, Identity.
Identity is an MMORPG that's unlike any other you've ever played. It's not based on levels or skill progression. It's based on you, your character, and what you want to do with it.
Made by Asylum Entertainment, Identity promises a new breed of
Ah, luego de
massively
Twitch ahí.
multiplayer online role-playing game. The trailer boasts things like the most robust housing system in MMO gaming history and a highly interactive and evolving world. Sounds awesome, right? The kind of game that will completely redefine the industry. Well, judging by the Steam reviews, it is absolutely not that.
They're armed. I need backup.
It's a cop.
No, this was yet another failed Kickstarter campaign that drained hopeful gamers of their money and delivered what amounts to an unfinished and grossly unrefined tech demo. Many reviewers call it a scam, claiming that they were ripped off and stolen of their hard-earned cash. Number 13, NBA 2K24.
El NBA 2K24.
You know what, BA?
No sé qué lo sabía.
Refs are human too. Yes, I did say that.
The NBA 2K series has been going strong since 1999, but recent entries have become increasingly unreliable. Elements like aggressive microtransactions, dated gameplay, and game-breaking technical issues have marred newer installments, but 2K24 has to be the nadir.
Que salió
It
con muchos
has to be.
fallos la versión de PC.
Surely it can't get any worse than this.
So, you only need to
Muchos
show
bugs.
flashes right now.
Coach, I'm trying to show my full potential.
The game has received overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam, mostly owing to the same old problems. Constant crashing, no proper story, glitches and bugs galore, a barren online community, it's all there. The problems are further confounded by the fact that the PC port is a technically inferior product to the next-gen console release. It's a disaster on all fronts.
It's always about us. Always. Thank you. Next question.
Number 12, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
El Modern Warfare 2.
Graves is in the HQ. We need to find him.
La segunda versión.
Weapons hot for gun run. Waiting for your mark, folks.
The Call of Duty machine just keeps on chugging. A sequel to the 2019 reboot and sharing the same name with the 2009 game, the existence of Modern Warfare 2 is not only confusing, it's controversial. The game sold incredibly well, being the best-selling video game of 2022 and the fastest Call of Duty game to gross $1 billion. But the players
verdad.
weren't having it, judging by the overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam. All the usual criticisms are here, including the blatant use of microtransactions and decade-old gameplay mechanics. This hurt even more coming off the 2019 reboot, which was very well received by critics and players alike. Modern Warfare 2 was a huge regression, symbolizing everything that is wrong with the franchise.
No sé si el 3 ha llegado a este punto, pero...
Number 11, Overwatch 2.
Muy criticado, el 2. Overwatch, ¿quién habla de Overwatch ahora?
Oh,
O sea,
Overwatch.
no hay noticias de
What
Overwatch.
happened? The original
Porque
game was a huge success, receiving universal praise, launching the Overwatch League, and grossing
Con el
over
bajón que se ha
$1 billion
pegado con
in
el
its
2.
first year alone. And then came the sequel. With overwhelmingly negative reviews, the problems were numerous. The aggressive monetization received backlash, as did the inclusion of a controversial Battle Pass system. Further backlash came in May 2023, and Blizzard announced that they were scrapping the promised and advertised player versus environment elements. Finally, a good chunk of the negative reviews came from China, where they are unable to play on local servers owing to a business disagreement between Blizzard and NetEase. Within just 48 hours, Overwatch 2 became the worst-rated game in Steam's history. Number 10, Dynasty Warriors 9.
Vamos ya al top 10.
Fans and
No he
critics
jugado ningún
frequently butt
Dynasty
heads when it
Warrior,
comes to
pero
judging
lo
each
conozco.
new Dynasty Warriors
Conozco la
game.
IP.
Critics take issue with the repetitive combat of the series, while fans seem to really enjoy it. However, this was the game that both parties could agree was simply the worst.
I hear you have the gall to call yourself a relative of the Emperor. Is that right?
Dynasty Warriors 9 attempted to integrate an open-world design, but seemingly forgot to make the game, fun. The world felt empty, and the game was littered with bugs and glitches. Even the bad voice acting couldn't redeem the game, coming off as less campy and more trying too hard to be bad.
If you still think we're lying, why not ask the soldiers on the front line?
Number 9, Space Base DF9.
Este ya no lo conozco.
Of all developers, we'd never expect Double Fine Productions to make it on a list like this. Space Base DF9 was a simulator game that tasked players with maintaining an environment to keep inhabitants happy and protected from alien invaders. So, how did a simple game such as this become one of the most hated games on Steam? In addition to stupid AI and severe lack of polish, Double Fine had taken the game out of early access because of poor sales. After its official launch, Double Fine would cease support for the game and release the source code for players. Basically, they gave us a broken, buggy game and called it quits. Number 8, Gasp.
You need to meet up with the others before your O2 runs low. Your HUD should be live and tracking the GPS signal of the other members.
Hey, look! It's a free game! Your goal is to meet other players before you run out of oxygen or get hit by too many asteroids. If you manage to successfully hold forward for the entire 10-minute journey, then yay! You won, and the game just ends. Despite having a simple goal, it still manages to be a terrible game in its awkwardly placed invisible walls and appalling physics. It may be a free game, but we want a refund for our time wasted on this game.
Bueno, pero los free to play creo que tampoco están
Number
grave,
7,
yo creo, ¿no?
Command & Conquer 4, Tiberian Twilight. Honestly, it's not surprising to see an EA game on this list. Tiberian Twilight has long been considered the death of the Command & Conquer series. It's a fitting reputation considering Tiberian Twilight's mediocre quality. The worst part about it is that the game demands you to maintain an online connection even for modes that don't contain any online features. Should your connection be lost at any point, any progress made is lost. This was the game's DRM policy, and it frustrated many players. Number 6, Infestation Survivor Stories, aka The War Z.
Esa canción.
Infestation Survivor Stories, formerly known as The War Z, is practically a complete ripoff of its more successful influence, the Arma 2 mod that became DayZ. The game was an absolute mess, from frequent glitches, loads of bugs, and terrible graphics.
no lo conocía ni nada.
To this day, the developers are no longer supporting the game, and the forums have been shut down. You can't even purchase the game. But if you really want your fix, you can try Infestation the New Z, which features all of the same bugs as its predecessor and includes a Battle Royale mode. Number 5. Day 1, Gary's Incident. They say that any kind of publicity is good publicity. However, this isn't always the case, and what happened with Day 1 Gary's Incident is a prime example. When the late John Bain, aka Total Biscuit, reviewed the game, he criticized the many flaws of the game, showing various bugs and design choices that made no sense. Developer Wild Game Studios made copyright claims on his video, which led to further criticism. Needless to say, things got worse for the devs with player backlash, and eventually, the game was pulled from the store. Good riddance.
Joder, hostia,
Number 4. Game Tycoon 1.5. Got a spare dollar laying around? Well, you might want to spend it on something better than Game Tycoon 1.5. As you work on building your own video game company, you'll encounter a large variety of bugs and glitches such as audio loops, unresponsive controls, and frequent crashing. It's just one massive headache of a game, from the poorly explained tutorial section to the slow animations. 2 years later, it somehow managed to spawn a sequel, and yet the reviews were just as scathing as its predecessor. Number 3. Airport Simulator 2014. Simulators are starting to become a dime a dozen on Steam. However, only a small handful are worth your time, and Airport Simulator 2014 is not one of those. Users have noted a wide variety of issues that plague the title. Where do we even begin?
También tengo que decir que este simulador me parece un poco rebuscado también, Pero bueno.
Graphics look outdated, the gameplay is dull, frequent crashes, and the game is covered in more bugs than a dead pigeon. In short, it's a total scam. Even for a game that costs $10, it's not even worth clicking on.
Pero bueno, si haces un juego así, hazlo, bueno, ciertamente decente.
Flatout 3.
Flatout 3. Ostras, sí, los Flatout sí que los conozco. Era una época muy loca de juegos de conducción,
Although this is not what we were looking for. Flatout 3 Chaos and Destruction has some of the worst controls in a racing game, and its poor optimization causes the game to lag with almost every input, even at the main menu.
Obviamente la moda es otra, digamos, pero en ese a mitad de los 2000, ¿no?
What's worse is the wonky and
última época de Play 2.
Crashing into cars feels like watching cardboard boxes smack against each
other.
With the first two Flatout games holding
y
some level of quality, how did the third manage to be such a monumental
Xbox en este caso, pero luego también en la generación o la primera parte de la generación de Play 3 y 360
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our
se llama mucho los juegos pero locos, de conducción, y ahí debutaron muchas IPs.
Make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Slaughtering Grounds.
Número 1. ¿Lo ha dicho?
Number 1. The Slaughtering Grounds.
The Slaughtering Grounds. 2014.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are looking at was the most notorious game to ever hit Steam Store. The Slaughtering Grounds was the first game released by the infamous James and Robert Ronin, aka Digital Homicide. This boring zombie shooter featured extremely poor graphics, irritating music loops, and a hefty amount of asset flipping. Oh, and if you type in blood splatter on Google Images, you can easily find which images were used in the game. The reason you can't get the game anymore is because Digital Homicide tried to sue 100 Steam users for personal injury. Valve proceeded to remove all of their games from the store.
You lose.
Did we miss your least favorite Steam game? Let us know in the comments.
All right.
Pues lo he dicho, ha habido algunos juegos que sí que sabía que estarían en el top, no sé en qué puesto, pero que sí que sabía que habían sido o que se habían convertido de los juegos peores valorados, ¿no? O más odiados de Steam, llamadlo como queráis. Pero hay otros que, bueno, hay muchos que no conozco porque al final, bueno, en este caso son casos que a lo mejor no estaba tan al tanto, digamos, ¿no? Con Steam concretamente, y tampoco les tenía muy, como digo, muy ubicados, no les tenía echado el ojo, ¿no? Así que, pues, realmente es una lista que sí que, en la que sí que he tenido que descubrir muchas cosas, ¿no? Y muchos juegos realmente. Así que, pues, realmente esto es una lista actualizada, o sea que el vídeo no es de hace pocos días, o sea que, digamos que esto es así a día de hoy, digamos, ¿no? O sea que obviamente no ha dado tiempo, ¿no? A que otro juego quepa en esta lista, ¿no? Y cambie de lugar a otra, o sea, a otro juego. Así que bueno, pues no sé si... Bueno, al final, como digo, esto es una lista objetiva, ¿eh? O sea, esto será por datos, ¿no? Por valoración media del juego en sí, ¿no? En Steam. Así que, pues esto realmente no es algo que se pueda cambiar. Bueno, se puede cambiar, ¿no? Pero digamos lo que es la lista en sí, ¿no? Pero bueno, de todas formas, también podéis dejarme en los comentarios, a lo mejor si hay algún caso más que podríais meter en esta lista, ¿no? Pero claro, al final, como digo, sí que es más subjetivo, así que pues digamos que puede haber mucha variedad ahí, ¿no? Pero igualmente, pues dejad algún juego, ¿no? Que también os haya parecido una bazofia en Steam al menos, y que a lo mejor vosotros pondríais en vuestra lista, ¿no? En vuestro top. Pero bueno, si os ha gustado el vídeo, dejad un buen like, suscribiros al canal en sí si no lo habéis hecho ya, activad la campanita de notificaciones, y en la descripción os dejaré como siempre mis redes sociales y los enlaces de los últimos vídeos que tengo subidos en el canal. Muchas gracias por vuestro apoyo, hasta la próxima.